Today I'll be talking about the Keebio FoldKB Revision 2.1. If you haven't seen my review of the original FoldKB, I'll put a link in the description. In that video, I went through my entire keyboard journey from the Datadesk smartboard to how I ended up on the FoldKB. I'm not going to repeat all that here, so if you want the backstory, go check out that video. What I will do today is walk through what's changed from the original Revision 1, what I like about the changes, and a few things I did to customize my build. Before we begin, I want to point out that this is not a sponsored review. I bought this keyboard with my own money, and I have no relationship with Keebio or any of the vendors mentioned in this video. So let's get right into what's different. The FoldKB Revision 1 used an onboard ATmega32U4 controller. Revision 2.1 uses an STM32G431 controller. This is faster and has more memory, so if you're customizing your firmware, you'll appreciate the extra room. The original FoldKB was a soldered board, and if you wanted hot swap capability, you had to solder Milmax sockets yourself. Revision 2 comes with Kale hot swap sockets on the PCB, so now you can swap switches without any soldering at all. And in fact, the FoldKB Revision 2 can be built without soldering anything. The only thing you would need to solder is the rotary encoder, which is optional. The original FoldKB supported per-key LEDs, but you had to solder single-color LEDs yourself. Revision 2 comes with north-facing per-key RGB LEDs already on the board. That's a nice upgrade for anyone who wants a backlit keyboard without all the extra build work. Revision 2.1 also added static shock protection. It includes a ground pad on the PCB and a conductive foam pad that connects to the underside of the switch plate. This gives static electricity a path to flow directly to the USB-C port instead of through the microcontroller. Keebio has a blog post with more details on this, and I'll put a link in the description to it. Now, there's a reason I'm specifically reviewing Revision 2.1 and not just Revision 2. There are two differences between Revision 2.0 and Revision 2.1 that are worth knowing about. Revision 2.0 shipped with an error where the backslash key was configured as a 1-unit key. It should be a 1.5-unit key. Revision 2.1 fixes this, so now the backslash key is correctly sized. The other change is that Revision 2.1 adds RGB underglow. Revision 2.0 actually did not have any underglow at all, it only had the per-key RGB. Revision 2.1 adds 8 underglow RGB LEDs on each half, 3 across the top, 3 across the bottom, and 1 on each side. This is a different arrangement than the original FoldKB, which had 8 underglow LEDs in each half, but 4 across the top and 4 across the bottom. The Revision 2.1 distributes the light more evenly around the board. The FoldKB Revision 2.1 uses QMK firmware just like the original. As I mentioned in my previous review, QMK makes it easy to customize your layout and behavior. With both per-key RGB and underglow now available, I wanted some control over which LEDs are active. Personally, I prefer the look of underglow only. I think it gives the keyboard a cleaner look, especially with a translucent case layer. So I customized my firmware so that only the RGB underglow is on by default. I also set it up so I can rotate through 4 modes: underglow only, per-key RGB only, RGB off, and all on. That way, I get the look I want right when I plug in the keyboard, but I can cycle through the other modes if I feel like it. If you're comfortable working with QMK, this is a pretty straightforward customization. I'll put a link in the description to my key map on GitHub if you want to see exactly what I changed. I measured the current draw in different RGB configurations, and so here's what I found. With only RGB underglow, the FoldKB draws 170 milliamps. With only per-key RGB, it draws 320 milliamps. With no RGB at all, it draws 120 milliamps. And with all RGB on, it draws 360 milliamps. None of these numbers are concerning, and the board runs fine over USB in any configuration. However, I would be careful using longer USB cables with all the RGB on at full brightness. Keebio has the case files on their GitHub, so you can 3D print a case yourself. The case includes top and mid-layer pieces for each half, and you still need the switch plate and bottom plate to complete your build. One thing worth noting is that the Revision 1 and Revision 2 use the same case design, so cases designed for one revision will fit the other. I'm using a case from TreeDog Studio. My case has a translucent stripe in the middle layer, which was designed to show off the underglow. However, when I first set it up, the underglow didn't illuminate the stripe as well as I'd hoped. The light was there, but it was dim and it didn't really pop. So I tried something. I applied adhesive mirrors to the bottom plate of my case. The idea is that the mirrors reflect the light back up and out through the translucent middle layer. The difference was dramatic. It went from a faint glow to a clearly visible, vibrant underglow. If you have a similar case setup with a translucent layer and you're underwhelmed by the brightness, I would highly recommend trying this mod. The adhesive mirror sheets are inexpensive and are easy to cut and apply. In my original review, I said I thought I had finally reached the end of my keyboard journey with the FoldKB. Revision 2.1 just makes me more confident in that, and it is a solid upgrade over the original Revision 1. One minor thing I want to add is that the FoldKB does not support a stepped caps lock key. Hopefully, Keebio will add support for this in a future revision. If you liked this video, or if it was helpful to you, please leave a like. If you have any questions about the FoldKB or my build, please leave a comment. Thanks for stopping by.